Well, it's time to get our togas on and revisit the ruins of Pompeii, up Pompeii, but this time in HD. But how good is this new version of this classic concert film? Let's get into it, shall we? Pink Floyd in 1971, looking so young and amazingly lithe, I have to say. They're described by The Guardian as four space rock whippets standing mysteriously on their hind legs in the burning Italian sun. I'm sure they'll really appreciate the moniker of space rock. It'd probably have Roger chewing his own beard off. We are, of course, talking about the mesmeric and eerily strange, outrageously indulgent live music event that was directed by Adrian Mabin. The music and the atmosphere was as irresistible as ever, and this comes across in the new mix. Of course, the band are shown performing live in Pompeii's ancient Roman amphitheatre in the late afternoon. Weirdly and almost haughtily alone, by the way. Bereft of audience and with the banks of amplifiers blaring out this brand of, Floydness. Just to the ancient stones and pillars. Not to mention the film crew, of course, which were facing them on their rather humorously monolithic camera rigs. Apparently the film was financed by 3 different European TV companies, Belgium, France and German, I believe. And it was only originally intended for the small screen. But one of the producers suggested they should use 35mm film to give it that cinematic feel. And at the band's insistence, multi-tracks exist. They insisted on multi-tracks of everything they recorded. This, of course, turned out to be so advantageous for a new and wonderful HD restored version that might emerge somewhat 50 years later. One of these days was shot after dusk, with the emphasis on Nick Mason, as the footage of the rest of the band members just wasn't up to scratch. So it tends to take on the appearance of a solo performance. Due to the lack of time available, there were no extra tracks filmed, unfortunately, as Cymbeline, Atom Heart Mother, Green is the Colour, and songs like that, Fat Old Sun, were very much part of the Floyd setlist at this time. There were several alternative shots and outtakes that were held in the film archive in Paris, and here is the cruncher. Apparently at some point an employee of the owners, MHF Productions, decided this footage was of no value and incinerated all 548 cans of the original 35mm negative. As the shoot ended, Mabin suggested extra shooting later in the year in Paris. Careful with that axe, Eugene set the controls for the Heart of the Sun and Mademoiselle Nobbs, which of course was a new version of Meddle's Seamus. With a different pooch, of course, and on the original record they had Steve Marriott's dog. But this showed the band surrounded by white spotlights, giving the impression that songs were shot in Pompeii after dark, as one of these days had actually been, but were actually shot indoors. This was a day of full-on prog rock, or space rock, or psych rock, or however you want to label them, all cranked up, without sunscreen. No matter how cool you think you are, you'll never be cooler than David Gilmour shirtless playing his Strat amid the ruins of Pompeii. And it is a masterpiece, and an eerily weird film, it has to be said, as the band progress through echoes, including a slew of early concert favourites. It's like Saucerful of Secrets and Careful with That Axe, Eugene, interspersed of course with footage from Abbey Road as the band start to piece together their conceptual tour de force that was Dark Side of the Moon. But Pink Floyd live at Pompeii is considered by many to be the jewel in the crown of this band. Nick Mason said of it, "We never took a huge interest in it. We dithered about doing it because it meant we had to give up a couple of gigs in England that had to be replaced later. We were incredibly offhand about it and didn't have any idea of what we were getting into or where we were filming." And it's fascinating watching a young Nick Mason pounding away in the dusty vastness of the Pompeii amphitheatre. And the band interviewed at Abbey Road Studios speak about their music and quite prophetically about the disagreements they sometimes have, but no mention of Sid, of course, although many feel that maybe he's present in a way amid the haunted and empty ruins of the amphitheatre. This film is special as it documents this band transitioning away from the avant-gardism and the kind of spatial psychedelic noodling of the late 60s to the much more sensible stuff they would become famed for later on. In terms of the picture, it has certainly received an upgrade, and everything seems more natural And the skin tones are absolutely extraordinary, and the colours are certainly brought out a bit more, with lots more detail, all revealed in 4K, I believe. The sound seems more spatial, wider, if that makes any sense, with the emphasis, I think, on an immersive experience. It does feel that the vocals have been raised slightly in the mix, and Rick's keyboards also sound a little bit more prominent. But this meticulous restoration delivers a stunning image and sound quality, featuring a theatrical and home entertainment mix from Steven Wilson in 5.1 and Dolby Atmos. These upgrades enhance the film's depth and clarity, while preserving the authenticity and spirit of the original 1972 release. So what do you get for your money? Let's take a look, shall we? Anyway, here is the Blu-ray. It comes in a delightful package, a nice sort of flat pack sleeve. It has the feature film, which includes interspersed with clips from Abbey Road. We've all seen those bits. And then it also has on it the concert, which is kind of the original concert, although Mademoiselle Nobbs is not in the original concert, it's in the feature film. I must say that it looks absolutely astonishing when you watch it. I'm so struck by how the clarity of it. Also the sound mix. I mean, I've just listened to it in stereo, and it's you can hear some beautiful flourishes and things that I didn't quite notice in the original mix that have really been brought to the fore. Certainly Rick's keyboard, Dave's guitar on Echoes, part 1 sounds more strident, more prominent, and Careful with That Axe, Eugene, is just beautiful. All the whispering voices and that, it's just a wonderful release, even though it is frightfully overpriced. Anyway, there's the digipack of the Blu-ray, which opens up like this. That's the sticker that went on the sleeve. In the first is the booklet, we'll look at that in a minute, and in this one is the actual disc itself, and that's the rear. And here is the Blu-ray. I'll get the disc out for you. I think I would have liked a nice little polyline sleeve for the Blu-ray personally. And here is the booklet. It's a nice picture. So there you have it, that's Pink Floyd at Pompeii, that's the Blu-ray. Now let's take a look at the CD. And there's the CD, again the CD is in a delightful little digipack sleeve. That's the spine, if it'll focus. That's the rear. So CD1, we've got Pompeii intro, Echoes part 1, Careful with That Axe, Eugene, Source Full of Secrets, One of These Days, Set the Controls Far to the Sun, Mademoiselle Nobbs, Echoes part 2, and CD2 is Careful with That Axe, Eugene, alternate take, and Source Full of Secrets, unedited, 1245, as opposed to the 1010 version. That's the little sticker from the front. That's disc 1. Disc 2. And the booklet that comes with it. Let's just move this out of the way, which I imagine would be very similar to the Blu-ray booklet. Yeah, very similar to the Bluray booklet. So there we are, that's the Blu-ray and the CD. I did ask at the start of this video, is it any good? Is it worth the money? Well, being a bit of a Pink Floyd fruitcake, you'd only have to stamp the band's name on a turd and I'd shell out for it. But for me, the picture and sound upgrade make for an essential purchase. But it was one I ummed and ahed about, especially when I looked at the price tag and all this stuff, which seemed horribly overinflated, quite frankly. Anyway, there you are. They're my thoughts on the brand new version of Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii. Did you go to the cinema to see it? Did you go out and buy it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on the matter. Other than that, I'll leave you with my closing salvo, which is hope you're well, staying safe, and of course that you keep listening.